Hi everyone, welcome to our first podcast, Dublin's finest podcast. So my name is Daniel and with me are my two other co-hosts, Cal Kinsella and Ethan Jones. So this is our first ever one. It's just kind of an off-the-cuff kind of thing. We're just going to talk about anything topical, anything that's all the rage, hitting the news. So we're going to start off with these guys introducing themselves. So I'll let you guys fire away.
Will I go first, or let the other guy go first?
If you want to go
No,
first.
go on. You're seeking attention there.
Attention.
Craving attention. My name's Cal. Coach Cal Kinsella on Instagram.
Don't follow that, by the way.
I'm a personal trainer and massive sports fan. Not like a Mia Khalifa type thing, but like just a general sports fan. Massive mixed martial arts fan as well. So
MMA for those who like abbreviations.
Yeah. So and boxing as well. So that's me anyway.
I'm Ethan, as Daniel said, and I used to be a massive sports fan back in the day. Used to be a big Man United fan. But,
Still don't know what's happened or why that's gone, but I'm sure he'll explain.
Just over the years, I just haven't really followed them for the last 5 years or so. So I'm coming on this podcast to kind of, I guess, be reintroduced to those types.
And reignite the fire that was once inside.
Exactly.
Expect some. Oh, did Inter Milan win the Champions League last year? Expect some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
was it Jose Mourinho? Wasn't
it was Liverpool. It was Liverpool, by the way. But we don't want to talk about that.
But so that's what I'm here for, to get some good information on sport
and to add some.
I can bring other things to the table though. You know, if you like film trivia, I'm your guy.
Debatable, but anyway. Right, so on the topic of sports and football, for those of you, well, if you haven't, you're living under a rock. For the past 4 months, we've been in the midst of a global pandemic with the coronavirus, and it has basically put a halt to everything globally. And one of the big kind of things to take a hit was sport. But over the last couple of weeks, or only even this weekend, really, some, or if not most, sports are kind of getting back underway in a kind of reduced capacity. And one of those was football, which we just mentioned. The German league, the Bundesliga, started this weekend. All the games were played behind closed doors. Now, there's been a lot of kind of talk about whether it's the right thing to do. Is it too soon? Are the players' welfare and even the coaches, are they being protected? Like, do you guys think it's too soon? Do you think it's just what are your thoughts on the whole football coming back? Like, I know it's only the German league, but a lot of other leagues are trying to follow suit.
I personally am glad that it's coming back. Now, like, as in, because we've been going so long without sport that I think it's taking a toll on everyone's lives. I really miss it. I'm sure you guys do as well. And I think for the most part, like the Premier League, obviously they're returning. I think,
but like
those associate.
But there's kind of a thing about like the Premier League, because I think the UK, out of nearly every single European country, has been possibly the worst. Like, I know Italy and Spain were at the beginning, but then like the UK has overtaken them in terms of the death toll and probably even infected rates as well. So like, people are saying that like the Premier League still has absolutely no clarity on if or when it will return or in what kind of capacity.
Yeah, well, I think the Premier League by itself they're taking measures to make sure like their training goes all right. I think they're like making sure, like, complying with social distance and stuff like that, with like car parks, like having cars about three spaces apart, that kind of stuff. But look, I think players can wear masks as well, so there's always going to be a risk involved. But I think you just have to live with that, you know.
Another thing.
And financially, they have to come back. Financially, they have to come back.
Yeah, like I personally think, as much as I do miss football and miss watching like Chelsea and everything. I do think, and this is not just the case for the Premier League, I do think that like you look at the German league, and there's even some leagues around the world that have come back as well. I just think it's way too soon. I think
Oh,
like I think it's too soon. I think a lot of it has to do with, like, I was even just watching Sky Sports News recently about Premier League clubs basically approving of returning to training in small groups, and then also the Bundesliga, all the players coming back, and it's like, yeah, I know these measures are in place, but it's like, I think a lot of it is to do with, like, a lot of like players are probably bored, the coaches are bored, and then I think a lot of it has to do with like financial greed. I think a lot they just want the money. Like, I know the fans can't go into the stadiums, but they can still get money through the television broadcasting rights, the streams, like Amazon Prime is streaming games, and then there's other streaming sites. So I think the people who are in charge of like the Premier League and like the Bundesliga, the people who make the decisions, I really don't think they're taking the players or even anyone involved with these teams, their health, really that seriously. I think a lot of it has to do with the money that's involved, and just because I genuinely don't see what the rush is to get it back. Like, there's no rush. Like, people might say the start of the new season, but like, what, like, if like, you could wait and maybe finish the seasons in August or September, and then give them a couple of months and start the new season. But that's just my opinion anyway.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think like the
yeah.
testing would have to be like really frequent. Like they have to be tested every week. If
Yeah,
they want to
even if they're coming into training, like, it'd have to be nearly every day if they're coming into training every day.
That's just not going to happen. Like,
I think how they're taking training. I don't know about all the clubs, but I think in England they're dividing it into small groups throughout the day.
Yeah, but then again, what if someone comes back and tests positive? Then they're all going to have to self-isolate again.
But if if they're testing every day, well, then like, as in, and also players will also give, and maybe, well, I'd like to think so, but players will have to give the clubs and the associations that they work under know how, in terms of have any of their families got COVID or have come into contact with anyone that's sick. Like, the associations know all this, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but I think I heard that like players can refuse to return to training if they're like living with elderly parents, or basically living with anyone vulnerable, or if they're vulnerable themselves, they can refuse to return to training. So I suppose at least they kind of have the option, and the managers and the kind of people like the managers and the coaches have gone, yeah, that's okay. Like, you don't have to come back. Like, your safety. I suppose that's the good
Well,
thing.
do you think then? Well, you said you don't agree that it should come back straight away.
No.
Right now, but when do you think it should come back? Because
I
because
think,
let's be honest, we're not going to get a vaccination for this for a good while.
well then, I personally think like you should. I think everything should wait until there is a definite cure, because you can never be safe. Like, you look at, even in months to come, like, even when I'm going to talk about like general society now, like pubs, clubs, restaurants, they will open, but what will never be the same again until there is a vaccine. Like, social distancing will be around for the foreseeable, and that's the same. Like, if football fans are not going to be allowed back into stadiums until there's one. As I said, people won't be allowed to get close in general until there's one found. So I genuinely think we have to be almost certain that people can be cured fully before it can go back to the way it was.
Yeah, there'd have to be some sort of something that just stops, if people even get sick from it, something that stops them from dying. I think then people may relax a bit more, but like until then,
I was like, I've heard, like, I obviously watched some of the Bundesliga games at the weekend, and like, there's all this thing about they don't celebrate with each other because of, like, I saw Borussia Dortmund did like a social distance celebration. Yeah, but like, they mark each other in corners. They're in the wall together. Like, but like, I don't know what the difference is. Like, what's the difference?
Look, maybe it's a fair shout that that team sports or sports with close contact shouldn't come back, but at the end of the day, we have to be kind of rational to these things, and kind of not be offended because these big clubs and owners, they want their money, so they don't care about well-being to a certain point, and
Yeah,
they,
but then
they
that,
want
then that,
they
yeah,
want the entertainment back,
yeah, I get you. But then that also brings in another argument about what these clubs and what these owners are really after. There's clubs that like to try and play off that they have the fans' well-being and the players and all that kind of stuff. Their well-being is the most important thing. But I think what you just said about wanting to get it back so soon kind of nearly takes away that whole argument.
Well, I don't mind it coming back. For
Mm.
me personally, I'm really glad some sports are coming back, and I don't mind it coming back in that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to spread like wildfire as a result. I don't think the players are, as long as they've been checked and are continuing to be checked, but also
Mm.
that there's been a background check with their families and everything, and people who surround them. I don't
What's
think they're in real harm's way with it. Me
what
personally.
what's the rates like in Germany at the moment? Anyway, like Germany had it under control for a long time, but like
Yeah,
what
they
are the
did, but I heard that since these Bundesliga games have gone back, or even like people are allowed to kind of socialize again to a certain extent, there's been a spike in new
Right.
cases. So then
Okay, but
again, that
was this football right, or is this just
just
the guy in the
opening up
fucking
of
suit?
society again, I guess.
again, like the whole opening or restarting football again is a part of society.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of take that the spike in cases is to do with people in general, but like that's because they're opening it up again, and football is included in that category. But I think obviously like Ethan, but what do you think? Like Carl obviously said he wouldn't mind it coming back, or doesn't mind it being back again. I said that I don't personally agree with it. I think it needs to wait a bit longer. How do you feel about it?
Well, yeah, I think that um, I guess it really depends on the rates in the country. Like if the rates are like
Yeah,
single digit figures,
yeah,
you can probably go, okay, it's very, very unlikely that these people have it. But I think also like it may just have to become a thing that they wear masks during the games, which may look a bit ridiculous, but it's like kind of
yeah.
it may be just a thing that has to be done for a while. So I don't think I don't think it's necessarily a good idea if there's still like hundreds of new cases every day or more,
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
or
like
even
like
like
yeah,
50.
like South Korea, I think are the only country that are really, doing well with the situation, and they have football back. So
Yeah, but they're like testing
Did
hundreds
I
of thousands
did
of
I not
people
hear even the other
very
day that was it South Korea or it was some country in Asia? They opened up the nightclubs and the pubs again, and there was like they had to reintroduce complete lockdown measures.
That was Singapore, I think.
Singapore, so like these countries that like to think they have it under control, really don't,
mm-hmm.
and they blame
I
it on
think, yeah.
And I heard like even like Donald Trump was saying like I don't want to bring him into it, but it's almost impossible. He's in the news like every single day. It's like he wants. I don't know if there's any pro-Trump people going to be watching this, but
Aren't
like
you a pro Trump fan?
that was meant to be kept between us three, but
That was
you've
off the
gone
air.
and
That was off the
that was
air.
no need for that.
Ethan definitely looks like a pro Trump fan.
He does. Just the
Yeah,
haircut just
yeah,
looks like a pro-Trump fan.
yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of like I see him like he got off. I saw a video of him getting off a plane the other day, and he went over and shook everyone's hand, and basically approving. But like then he like
Start
approved.
injecting fucking detergent into their fucking. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I keep
yeah.
cursing.
If
Sorry.
you drink bleach, it'll kill. It'll you'll be cured from it. Yeah, because you'll be dead, mate. Anyway, it's like yeah, it's true. I mean, technically he's not wrong, but like it
You'll
seems like
also die from a side effect.
yes, you would die within about half an hour. Anyway, I think he's like approving of all these mass gatherings and saying like he's
Well,
basically deflecting from it all. It does have nothing to do with me. Go ask China or and then approving of these mass gatherings and saying saying at the start it was just a hoax. Like, you know.
Well, I think if we're talking about America, that there's actually a big kind of like miseducation with with the pandemic there in America. A lot of people are kind of like under the impression that, oh, it's a coronavirus. It only affects people who are like 70 years old and up. So
Exactly.
like, as in,
I think
they're
that's
gonna
probably
die anyway. So
I think that's
it's like you guys stay in your house, but us young people, we're gonna go out and roam free, and that's why it's getting so bad. And also, Americans are just, look, Americans have in their DNA that they about like everything about freedom and like, oh, we want to do what we want. So of course they want
that's
their
what all
sports
those
back.
protests were about. Yeah.
You know, I was just on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to plug it because I'm not a narcissist.
You're gonna leave the link down below.
On my YouTube channel. I'm not going to say it though, but
it's only friends.
He's gonna leave the link down below for those who want to subscribe.
Yeah, I'll leave a link down below. No, but I was talking about MMA, and the UFC had 3 events back, and they did it
How did
in
that
Florida. Well, one guy got tested, or one guy got.
But I presume there was no spectators.
No. The three events. Sorry, I have some construction being done in my house. Can you hear that? Is that okay?
No.
Just hear this beautiful voice. No, so they had 3 events, 3 pretty big events in 1 week. So Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Yeah. And
they tested all the fighters and the corner men, all the coaches beforehand, and they segregated them and everything. And one fighter before the first event, about 2 days before the first event, so about Thursday, beforehand, was kind of kicked off the event because he tested positive for the virus. Okay. Now they dealt with it pretty quick. He had already said to them beforehand, before coming to Florida, that he has a family member who had the virus. So they were like kind of keeping him under control, making sure he doesn't engage with any other fighters.
Yeah.
So that was handled. That situation was handled pretty well. And at the moment, there's been no fighters from all those 3 events that have come out testing positive. But that we have to wait another couple of weeks to see, you know.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I thought would be kind of interesting to discuss in this podcast was, okay, I think the coronavirus is just going to be the topic of conversation for, I'd say, every conversation around. But I think it'd just be interesting to talk about how it is over here, because there might be some people watching it from, you know, different countries, and they be wondering, oh, like, well, how is it over in Ireland? And like, I just wanted to see what your guys' take was on how we're handling it as a country, and how you feel about the, like, you know, the whole easing of the restrictions or the opening up of the economy has been broken down into the 5 different phases. Just wanted to kind of get your guys' opinion on, like, how do you think we've handled it, and what do you think about the whole? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Do you want to go?
I think
okay, Cal. So yeah,
it's been handled well enough. Like, I don't know what more they could have done. They may have been able to shut it down sooner, but then again, like, a lot of people may have been taken completely back. I think the way it was eased in was like a good way to do it. May not necessarily been the best, but you know, there's only so many options you have with this. And I think the general easing back into society is good. You can't just, like, today's May 18th, so like some of the
phase 1 has started today.
Yeah, so phase 1 started
phase
today,
1, yeah.
and phase 5 finishes or starts on the 10th of August, which is the last one. And I think it's kind of like it's a good way to sort of gradually do it, because you can't just bring everyone back, because it'll just spike up again.
Exactly. But
I mean,
it's
not, you know, it's obviously going to be difficult the next few months, not being able to see a bunch of people or being able to, you know, hang out with them necessarily in person.
Yeah,
I mean, you can do it at a distance, definitely, but it's kind of like
it's hard
As
to
of
do it at a
today,
distance. It's almost
it
like
is
being
hard.
told to do something that you're when you're told to
I
do something
just
you're not used to. Yeah,
I think it seems very, very difficult to manage. Like as of today, a group of 4 people are allowed to go out together, like 4 friends, like us. We can go out right now.
yeah.
But I see if it's 4 people, I find that very hard to manage in terms of social distance. But we can stand in a circle the whole day, you know.
But
Like
you'd
if
have
we're
to, you'd
going
have
for
to
You kind of
find
have to pick a location to go to, like a park or like
everyone.
a
Yeah,
field, and
everyone
just kind of
should.
go, okay, I'll sit there, you sit there, and you sit there, and you sit there, just kind of have a chat from a distance. But like, my personal
you
take
guys
on
are too close as it is.
that's you hinting at something.
Man.
But like, my personal take on it is, I think both, like, obviously Leo Varadkar is the Taoiseach, and then also Simon Harris, who's the Minister for Health. I think they've both done a really good job in kind of keeping everyone grounded, in kind of like saying, okay, I think this whole kind of phase process that they're taking, or this approach they're taking, is going, okay, if you do this, we'll reward you. Like, if you can keep what we're telling you throughout these phases, like, okay, you can go, okay, say for example, for the start, like, you were allowed to go shopping for essentials, and that was it, really. If you keep doing that, we'll reward you by saying, okay, we're going to break it into phases now. Phase 1, like saying you can go, it's 5 kilometers now, like the likes of golf clubs and tennis clubs are opening again. You can, as you said, see like 4 people while social distancing. And I said, okay, if you can do that without breaking it, we'll reward you with the next phase, and then so on and so on.
Like a little rat.
Like the
Okay, guys, we have probably about 10 minutes left, so
10
okay.
minutes
Well,
left.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I was just saying, like, I think the only issue about the whole phase thing is that you might get to like phase 3 and go, okay, we've seen like a spike in cases, we're gonna have to go back to phase 1. We get to phase 4, oh, we have to go back to phase 2. So that's the kind of only worry that I would have.
like I think people are definitely becoming more, not necessarily restless, but they're beginning to go like, okay, we've been in this for whatever 8 weeks now. That, like, I was going for a walk the other day, and there were people just like certain families that definitely weren't social distancing, like talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like, I think people were going, well, it's effectively May 18th, so there's like 4 of us together, but it's still like they weren't going with the guidelines. But I think it's like, yeah, people will definitely relax a lot more over the next few weeks, which I think, there is an element of that kind of does need to, there still has to be some sense of people still need to not be necessarily afraid to go meet their friends. Like, it's very, like, realistically, it's very unlikely that the 3 of us, one of us has it, but there's still a chance, so we'd still have to go by the rules.
Exactly, like, you can't take a risk.
But, like, I think that if people do ease into it, hopefully, like, hopefully the rates won't necessarily spike. They may increase a bit, but the gradual relieving of it will hopefully, if things do go up, they won't go up that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that when the the phases were announced, as soon as they were announced, I was like, oh no, it's not a time to be, thinking everything's all back to normal,
Yeah,
and I noticed that around certain areas of Dublin, within a 2 kilometer distance, like that people were kind of like cycling together, going to the shops, not really applying with it as much,
Yeah.
And funnily enough, when that announcement was made, it happened to be when it was very sunny here.
Yeah, exactly.
So of course people are going to come back out now, and I seen like about 4 or 5 guys, probably close enough to our age, playing football, and they were by no means socially distancing, So I would just hate for just to go back to square one, because even after phase 5, like when the pubs open and stuff, no one's gonna, like, I personally won't be going to a pub till September, October.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's just the risk is always there.
But it's just.
Yeah.
I think if we open up too soon, like as in my local barbershop are reopening on the 20th of July, I'm not going to go straight back. But people will be like, oh, I need to get my hair cut because it's so long now. But just leave your kind of like
Get that done at home.
leave your own kind of selfness to the side, you know.
Yeah.
Like there will be a lot of people like that will just think, well, you know, it's open so I can go and look, if I get it, I get it. Like there will be people thinking like that. And all most people can do is just do the best that they can and just, you know, that's it. A lot of people won't listen to the rules, and that's all you can really do about it. You know, that's just the reality of it.
I think what I've noticed over the last even couple of weeks, as kind of the cases and maybe deaths have started to drop, I think people are getting really, as I'm sure you guys mentioned, are getting really complacent and thinking that it's gone and thinking that it's completely over and that everything's back to normal. And that's where the fear comes back of the risk of a second wave. Like you can never be too sure about it, or you can never just completely say, okay, we're not going to get as many as we did in April, you know. So you just have to kind of, there's nothing we can do about it personally. If it's just some people just, I think a lot of people think the rules don't apply to them. There's nothing we can do about
it.
Or
they're just, I think it's like a youth ignorance kind of thing as well. Not to generalize everyone, but like,
no, it's a kind of,
the younger you are, the less likely to get. That doesn't mean you
can't pass it on to people.
Exactly.
So like there was, like, I think, I don't know if it's true, but I think like the coronavirus was in France before 2020, like in December. So it's very likely it was here for a few months. We just didn't realize it. So there is like a level of people will think, well, it was here. So
I suppose it's very hard to tell.
Say none of us haven't had it before. Like, as in 2019, I was sick for a month earlier on in that year, and I could have well have had it. You know. We don't know this stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if Ireland actually had it. I personally would doubt it, but I mean, I genuinely wouldn't know. It's just I'm going off my personal belief that I don't think we had it. It obviously was transmitted, as it's a pandemic. It's just gone from country to country, continent to continent. But
I think my sort of thinking would be that I don't think it was necessarily the guy that got it first, whatever the ski trip guy. I don't think he was necessarily the first person to have it. He was just the first person that went to hospital with it. So I think there's probably a larger part, which is why what I'm saying is that when inevitably the numbers will go down to zero, like they will go down to zero maybe in the next month or 2 months, people will think then, well, it's gone. When realistically it won't be gone. It'll still be in, like, people who won't.
As I said, it won't be fully gone until there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're coming close to the time, so I just want to end off with a little kind of question for the two of you. It's not a serious question. It's just there's something to end on a kind of, pun intended, sweet note.
What'd you have for dinner?
No, what's your favorite chocolate bar? If you had to pick one out of all the chocolate bars that there is, what's your favorite one? Yep.
Chocolate bar.
Favorite chocolate bar? A couple of minutes.
Like protein bar? Or
we don't need your gym enthusiasm in this. We just want to talk about it. This is an unhealthy podcast.
Well, if you don't like biceps,
what are you on
about? My favorite chocolate is, I'd say I'd have to go with cream egg.
That's an unpopular opinion. That is an unpopular. I can. A lot of people
really says it all.
Mine is, it's not really a chocolate bar. It's chocolate. It's Maltesers.
So yeah, Maltesers would probably be second. Yeah, but I think cream egg, just because it comes around once a year, it's kind of like a nice treat to have.
That's an unpopular opinion. A lot of people won't agree with you on that. Cal?
Well, I'm okay being the unpopular guy here. I don't know.
That's
okay. You guys are gonna slag me or whatever, probably. But
I do.
You say a protein bar, you're not coming back on.
No. I like the Lindt chocolate. So.
Yeah, that's.
I
like
God.
Chocolate. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's just it tastes nice. I don't like double.
It is lovely. It's very nice. Very nice.
Mr. Fancy
it melts in the mouth, you know.
Oh, it's like Maltesers. It's the little crunch of it. It's just beautiful.
I don't like Maltesers now. The two.
Shocking.
Fucking
Shocking.
anything crunchy now.
Yeah.
You're asking for a
Well,
cavity.
you're missing out. You're missing out. Anyway, I think we'll wrap up this podcast. Thank you all for listening and watching. Thank you, Cal. Thank you, Ethan, for your time and your company. You're very insightful. And yeah, we will see you guys soon for the next one. Thanks for watching.